I think that digital real estate has value, much like you can buy a .com address for a fortune. Look at Bitcoin. It is riddled with its own restrictions because of its perfection in what it does.
Yeah.
So you have to build the Lightning layer to do any transactions because it's useless for transactions. And it can't do big block sizes, it can't do fast, it can't do a lot of things. ETH comes along, it can do all of those things. But now ETH may not be fast enough, good enough, secure enough, whatever, to do different things. So like Bitcoin, we're seeing these things being built on, but it's a bit late. So Ethereum may build some of this stuff on, but it may be used elsewhere, which is kind of what you're alluding to. Probably. But will people stop using Ethereum? Highly unlikely at this stage. But I cannot see into the future, because once you've got interoperability, if people decided some other new chain is better, you can basically migrate everything across chain. I just think the pie is growing, and you can take smaller slices of a pie, but that smaller slice of a bigger pie is still worth a lot of money, and it goes up. So it's kind of everybody benefits in a space that I think goes from 2.5 trillion to 250 trillion, that 100x. All of those slices of pie may get smaller as a percentage, but they're actually going to be immensely more valuable than they are today. I think that digital real estate has value, much like you can buy a .com address for a fortune. I think that there is probably, I'm going against what I said before, there is some value in being around other businesses that are similar, that you want to be around. But I don't know why. I think it's the affiliation that we're all in Sandbox, that's our platform, as opposed to I'm next door to Snoop Dogg. So I do think this space becomes extremely valuable, but I don't think it's one place. So I will, I mean, I own some real estate in the metaverse, and I just have to wait and see. You need to frame the metaverse differently to get your head around it. How I frame the metaverse is that everything is becoming digitized. The everything becoming digitized is the metaverse. The fact that you and I can do this on Zoom and we're in different countries was not really very easy to do only a few years ago. But this is actually a metaverse experience. We've digitized what used to be done in a studio by using digital. We used to use digital cameras, but we couldn't shuttle the files around because they were huge. And now we can do it with streaming. So I don't think of the metaverse as this end state. I think it's every part of our lives, from finance to business models, are all being digitized. And the metaverse is that place where, in the end, I don't need my physical screens in front of me here. I just have one screen, and that I can reposition as my digital space with everything around it. You will be using your phone as your AR. You might use VR. I'm not sure VR is going to catch on as big yet, but AR is coming massively. I mean, Apple are already pinging your room 5 million times a minute to understand the dimensions of everything you move around in. And all of this is going to come into mapping systems where you can just walk around, you can find everything, you can see everything, the mix between digital and physical worlds. So yeah, I think the metaverse is the end state of, not the end place, the end state. So I think it's bigger than everything. I think it is where education will end up. It's where medicine will end up. It's where gaming obviously is. It's where platforms end up. I think all platforms go into metaverse experiences. I don't think we'll have these 2D kind of platform experiences any longer. So I think everything ends up there. As I said, I'm not in that because I believe that and Sandbox because I believe in the valuation, or I believe that this is the future. I just wanted my toe in the water to feel it. As you said, I think it's a bubble. Does it go further? Probably. Is Facebook undervalued? Most certainly. So what is Facebook's valuation? Could Facebook 5x from here? Easily. If they execute anything close to what they think they can do. You know, does could decentralized be worth $1 trillion? It's a long journey between here and $1 trillion, because they need, it's fine to have a very high value placed on the number of users, but you need to see the number of users growing rapidly, ridiculously rapid. We're not, because there's nothing to do in Decentraland, because it's a bloody web address. But you can bring people there for concerts. So once the music industry, which they're already doing, is starting to coalesce people there, then that's different. Maybe you're going to change what we're thinking, that people don't have to be regular active users. They just need to go there for stuff. Now, what I'm seeing and thinking about is, okay, let's build Raoul's office. Maybe there's a platform which is your office, and your office exists in Decentraland because it's infinite, essentially. And we can build all of our own personal spaces there with our Twitter feeds, our video feeds, our this and that, personal, private. It's all secured, it's locked, it's yours. Could there be 1 billion users of an application like that? Sure. You're seeing it with decentralized platforms like Bitcoin. It's become a centralized ideology, and people say, I want to stay there. We're seeing it with the birth of digital communities. So we've gone, we want to be independent citizens. We're going to hang out online. And what do? We hang out in the places that we want to hang out with, the people that we want to hang out in, and we accept an organizational structure of rules. So complex adaptive societies always run the same way. They always have this system of rules. Potential leader or a leadership structure can be a democratic structure. And there's usually the system of money that ties it together, or value exchange. And that happens with religions, it happens with charities, it happens with all sorts of stuff. So I think it's kind of laughable about this decentralized world. Yeah, we're rebels, and I'm joining the Bored Ape Yacht Club to show it. I'm like, you are just regrouping back again. I used to use the oil price as a proxy for this. Every time we had this massive rise in the oil price, we go straight into recession soon after, usually came within 12 months. And we've just raised a bunch of prices to people who are up here with debt, and their wages don't increase as much. And we'll talk about wages in a sec. And so what tends to happen is they stop spending, and you start cementing a recession or a growth slowdown. I think we get a growth slowdown in 2022 that people aren't expecting. And I think rates fall back lower. So the tapering will continue for a bit. Then we'll get this growth shock. Then the Fed will probably reprint again and try and stimulate. And eventually we'll find some trend rate of growth stability. But again, bond yields are not going higher. The other thing interesting is people are like, but look at wage growth is coming up. Wage growth is underperforming inflation. So you're actually getting poorer. But more importantly, people are forgetting that the other side of the equation is more people are leaving the labor force than any time in history. So those people are now not earning money. So their wage growth is 0. Those people are seeing some wage growth, call it 4%. But the offset of the number of people falling off means the net aggregate demand for the total global economy or the US economy is either stable or falling still.